and welcome back to Life in Sight. I'm Maria and I'm here with my good friend Angela Helge, who will help us learn the basics of mending. So, Mrs. Helge, when is somebody most likely to need something to be mended?
Well, if you have a shirt or a favorite pair of pants that has a hole in it and you just can't bear to get rid of it, you can mend it up and have many more years of use from it.
So, I have a shirt here and it has a hole in it. What would I need to do to fix this?
Oh, let's see. Oh, so this is great. Sometimes holes can get on the middle of your shirt or your sleeve, but here you have it right here in the seam. So honestly, this is going to be the easiest thing to repair when it comes to holes, and we can just do a simple back stitch to make it good as new.
Nice. So, how would I go about doing this?
Okay, so let me show you. Okay, so I see your hole is here outside on the fabric. So the first thing we're going to want to do is turn the shirt inside out, because, let me get that there for you, that's where the stitches are for the shirt. So you can see here, here's all your stitching. Okay, so we're going to want to kind of follow along with that stitch. You can take an iron to this if you really want, but I can just kind of put the two layers together so that I know I'm stitching it pretty accurately. If you'd like, you can take some pins and pin it together to give yourself a little bit of a better chance at keeping it even. Okay, so we see how we have the raw edges here, put them together. We're going to use a needle as a pin. Okay, so now I'm going to use red thread today so you can see my stitches. I would never want to use red. I shouldn't say never. I would typically choose a matching thread so you don't see the stitches. But again, you could use it as a decorative element and have a contrasting thread just for fun. You can pick any sewing needle you're comfortable with. It really isn't that critical. So maybe if you're a new sewer, you have a little beginning sewing kit and it comes with needles in it. So whatever you want to use that's comfortable for your hands. You don't want to have your thread be super long, because the longer you pull out your thread, the more chances you have of tangling it. So this typically is about a good length. Give yourself maybe a yard or pull your arm's length out. That's going to be good enough. You can use your thread single or double. I like to use it double because then it's more durable. Okay? And then you're just going to want to put a knot at the end. There's so many different ways of knotting. I like to just knot and then knot again, trying to get those two knots to line up. Okay? So then we're going to do what we call a back stitch. And a back stitch is really the most durable stitch in a situation like this. So you can see here, there's a stitch that's going along the edge of this armhole. We're going to start before the hole just to secure it. So we're going to pull the thread all the way through until the knot stops us. We're going to go a little bit behind where the knot was. And then we're going to come back up a little bit in front of where we started. And so what happens is we're going to keep doing this. We're going to go back to meet this stitch. Do you see this stitch? We're then going to put our needle right there in front of that. And we're going to end up with a nice red line of stitches. So back here in front. And you don't want to go too big of a stitch, because then you might end up with a hole. So you really want to take your time and have this all connected in a nice line of stitches. If you really want, I'm not a huge perfectionist. I'm okay with kind of eyeing it. If you feel like you're more a perfectionist, and you probably know this about yourself, you can take a pencil, a marking tool, more pins, and you can mark the line that you want to sew so that you can connect from one end of the hole to the other. I just don't take the time to do that because I'm really not a perfectionist, and I know when I'm wearing this, I'll never notice if the stitch line is super straight or not. So I'm just going to keep sewing the same manner all the way down. I'm also not super perfectionist about my stitches. Oh, sometimes your tails can get caught. About my stitches being the exact same length. So maybe some of them are like, I don't know, 1/2 inch. Maybe some are 1/4 inch. It's all right. you're still gonna get the same idea. You just don't want it to be too far apart. And I'm gonna give you an example of that. So that's kind of my biggest stitch there. If you went too far over like this, that's kind of too big of a stitch, which I'm sure you can see compared to the others. It's really big. If you were doing it for a temporary fix, sure. But if you're gonna wanna wear this shirt for a while, you want your stitches to be smaller. So you would just keep going down the line, stitching this over and over and over again until we get to the end. Now, sometimes you may not realize how much thread you actually needed to close up this hole, and you could run out of thread, and that's all right. You would just join a new strand of thread on your needle, and you would start again. When we get to the end, I will show you how we're going to knot this off. It's a little different than how we started at the beginning with the knot, but it's still really easy. And again, you should feel very proud, whoops, while you're sewing this, that hey, I'm fixing my shirt. I'm not, can you still see? I am not throwing it out. I'm not getting rid of it and buying something new just because that's the easier way to do something, right? Maybe this is a shirt that you got at a special event, from a special person, a special store, and you really want to keep it. So sometimes this happens, you get a little stuck. Just keep going, whole way down. Now this shirt is a knit fabric, which means it has some stretch to it. So if the stitches were really small, the stitches could break as you're wearing it. Like if you were stitching your favorite pair of leggings, and you know your leggings have to have a lot of stretch to them as you move, your stitches could rip. We're in the armhole here, so I'm not super worried about that happening. And hey, if they rip, you can just do it again because you're becoming more of a professional. I'm gonna take this needle out. So again, we would normally use a blue thread so that we didn't see it, but because we're also doing it on the wrong side of the fabric, you're not gonna see a bunch of this anyways. And I might run out of thread before I get to the end here, because look at, I have this much to go still, and I have to make sure I have enough to knot the end. And that happens, that's just kind of a trial and error thing. You start to learn what you need for what project you're working on. All right, so really we have, I would like to have a little more to get a little further, but let's just pretend I made it to the end. And so what we're gonna do, here's your back side. You can see this nice long stitch. You're just gonna go into the back of the stitch, but this is why it's important you have enough thread, because you need enough to be able to turn, to put your needle back through that loop, pull it, and then just do it again. So really you're knotting kind of like you did in the beginning, but you're using the base of your stitching to anchor it. And then you're gonna take your scissors, you're gonna clip it just as close to that knot as you feel comfortable with. And this is the fun part. You get to turn your shirt right side out and see how your handiwork looks. I don't even remember what sleeve it was. Was it this sleeve? Yeah. See, you can't even see much. You can see a little bit because we used red, but I have to pull on it to see that red. If you had blue, oh, you wouldn't even notice, right? Until you could see where I have that little hole that we didn't quite make it. So I would just thread a needle again, start it, and finish that off. So there you go.
So what did you do with our shirt?
Okay, so we've stitched it all up here, and honestly, it took me a minute to find it, and the only reason I see it is because we used red thread. So if we had used blue thread, we would not see this stitching at all. So your shirt is good as new, and you can wear it for as much time as you like.
Thank you so much. Do you have any other tips and suggestions for people who are new to mending?
You know, I think, hooray for you. Way to go to be mending your clothes and to be fixing them. And don't let the perfection be so important to you, because really at the end of the day, you fixed your clothing, you've done something good, you've helped the environment, and now you can wear your favorite shirt.
Well, thank you so much, and there you have it, folks. That's the basics of mending. If you like this video, make sure to like and subscribe for more life skills. See you next time. Bye!